Well, hello everyone, welcome back. I'm starting to make progress. I'm starting to get my garden done, and I've been on this keto diet. I've lost a lot of weight, and all of my work clothes were way too big and they were not helpful while I was trying to work. So I got me some overalls, and they're a little big. Hopefully I'll shrink them down some, but I think they're going to be a lot better to work in. So let's go take a look at what I've been doing. So from my last video, I pretty much had this much dirt spread. I've used a little bit more. But since then, I've done a lot of planting. I still have those 3 pots to do and some of this down here, but I got some rosemary and lavender. I've got all of my tomato plants planted. I think I've got 32. A couple aren't doing great, and most of them I started from seed. This one right here, Persuasion, I don't know what it's going to be like, but I found that at the nursery. These were from seed Romas. I've got more Romas here because they're great for canning and doing things with. My rhubarb is finally starting to perk up a little bit. We've been having really hot, really dry, really windy weather, and it makes it challenging for your plants. And then on this side of the new garden, those are all tomato plants. And I showed y'all the mortgage lifter, but I've got Cherokee Purple, Black Crim. I've got Boxcar Willie, which I'm not looking real impressed with them because I've already lost one, and these 2 are kind of puny. This is Kryptonite, and I got that at the nursery too, so we'll see how it does. And boy, that one's wilting. I got to get more water on it. Got San Marzano and more Romas over there. So I've also planted pinto beans all around them. So we'll see how that works. I want a lot of pinto beans. I want to can those. We love the lemon garlic green beans. So hoping for a lot. I have some cucumbers here that I just got in, and they're a little bit wilted, but it looks like it's going to be okay. And then those are all my raspberries and blackberries. And I planted another blackberry because I didn't have as many. But these guys, those tomatoes are just going nuts, and I'm going to have to protect them because it looks like we're going to have a freeze maybe a couple nights this weekend. So I'm not going to take the walls of water off of those. I'm just going to try and cover the tops. My other ones I'll probably put pots on top of to protect them if it freezes. My onions are doing really well. And the Swiss chard, and I have already picked, and we've eaten off of that, and it's really good. Got some more asparagus I need to pick. And I have a couple more tomatoes that I put in there, and those are both beefsteak. So hopefully I'm going to have a lot of really good tomatoes. This pea, it came up volunteer, and I've already been eating the ones I find. They're sugar snap, and they are so good. So I'll just munch on those until my other peas come in. But all these potatoes came up as volunteers, and that's from 2 years ago. I don't know where they were hiding, but they were all spread out. So I transplanted them and moved them all down to this area so they'd all be at one place. And then here I planted some beets, I planted some pole beans, and another cucumber. And I'm going to give artichoke a shot. I always thought they wouldn't grow here, but I've been hearing they will, so I'm going to see how that'll do. Not sure. I've got some little broccoli seedlings that I transplanted here, and they were pretty tiny, and they've grown a little bit, so hopefully they're going to make it. And right there, I'm going to plant sunflowers. So I'm looking forward to that. I love sunflowers. Another tomato coming out of the top of the wall of water. That's a sun gold. And it has tomatoes already formed, so hopefully that won't be too long. This is delicado squash. I got that from Azure Standard. I have had really, really good luck with their plants that I've ordered and pick up from the truck. These are all butternut squash. I haven't had a lot of luck in the ground, so I'm putting them in pots and I'll see how they do. And over there I have acorn and spaghetti squash, and more acorn squash there, and sugar pumpkins, the little bitty pumpkins. I'm going to be giving that a try, and hopefully they'll do well. My onions and garlic are doing good. And right here is some cantaloupe, and those were also little transplants and from seedlings. We'll see how they do. I've tried cantaloupe before, and what I found is ants attack them. So I'm going to have to really stay on top of that. Over here I got my shelling peas, sugar snap peas, and carrots down the middle. And I've been really weeding that because the weeds had just filled in everything. But I've got also planted, where my other peas didn't come up, I put buttercrunch lettuce, and I also put crimson giant radishes. So got that. That's again volunteer little lettuce, and it's doing really good. Those are all serrano peppers over there. And over here, I've got jalapeno, Fresno, ancho, and Anaheim. And yeah, that's a whole lot of peppers, but Brian loves peppers, and I really want to make some cowboy candy, so along with other things. And I've even got some blooms and some little peppers that are already forming, so they're doing really well. And then here, those are the sugar snap peas from Azure Standard, and one of them didn't make it through our high winds, about a week and a half ago. We had 45 mile an hour winds, and for days we had high winds. So 5 of them have done pretty good. They're surviving and starting to grow, but that one just couldn't make it through the wind, and I don't blame it. I wouldn't come out and work. And here I've got lettuce that I've still got to get that weeded because the weeds are just so catching up with me. And over here I've got spinach, and it's doing really good. And my strawberries are doing good. I've been eating not a ton of them, but there's been a few, and it's a nice snack when I'm working in the garden. So overall, I'm happy with everything. It's always a challenge having a garden here. We have had snow in the middle of June before. But like I said, we're expecting probably freezing 1, maybe 2 nights this weekend. So all of this will have to be covered up. That's okay. I've got all these extra black pots over here that will go on top of them with a rock to weight them down, and it works great for keeping them from freezing. So that's my garden area. This all still needs to be planted, and that'll all be seeds that I'll be doing hopefully today before the wind picks up again. And more seeds along here in front of the pots and the tomatoes. So that's today's project. But I'm really happy with how far I've gotten. And I want to show you this. This is not an affiliate. I didn't get paid for this, and I bought these, but I'm really impressed with them. My wheelbarrow handles had totally broken and fallen apart. Part of our high desert, high altitude, UV and sun exposure, plastics just don't hold up well. So I needed to replace the wheelbarrow handles because it was really getting tough just using the middle. And I found this. So this is Regrip, and I found it on Amazon, and it is really neat stuff. They're rubber type handles, and you buy a big enough diameter to totally fit on the handle. But then what happens is it has a zip strip inside of it. So this was coiled up inside. And you put this over the handle and pull the tab. This comes totally out, and as it does, it forms a tight seal against the handle. You can't move it once you get it on there, so you better have it in the right place. Now these I put on a little bit further down the handle, and I haven't decided if I'm going to cut off that excess rubber or just leave it. It doesn't seem to hurt anything when I'm using it, and I don't want to risk weakening the rubber, so I think I'm just going to leave it on like that. But if you need a handle on something like this, or on tools, or what I've seen advertised, and I may get it for me, on a long handle tool like this, you can put one down here where you grab, and it gives you a nicer grip on your tools. So I may be buying the smaller size to fit on some of my tools. But if you need to replace some handles, these I'm really happy with. And over here, this is what's left of that pile of decomposed granite. Out of 12 tons. And this was a huge pile. It probably was about 6 feet tall. And I don't know, 15 feet around across maybe. Because way over there and way over there. So that was a huge pile. It was 12 tons. I'm going to guess that I've used 9 or 10 tons of it. And most of that I did with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. So I'm pretty flippin' proud of myself for that one. And that's what I did with it. That is 36 by 26 feet dog pen. And I laid landscape fabric down, partly to keep it weeds out, but also to keep it from spilling out and just getting spread. And that's about 4 inches deep over that entire area. The only place I haven't done is we're going to replace those steps. So I just left that area, put concrete blocks to keep the dogs out of that mud. But all the rest of this now, this decomposed granite will not, it covers up the mud, it keeps you from tracking it in, it drains well, and it's kind of like walking on sand, but it will pack down some over time. So this was a huge project. We've got some shade sail and tarp up there to give the dogs some shade. So we're ready for some heat and in case of rain. And because we haven't had any rain, I came out and fertilized and deep watered all my trees. My little oak tree, I've had that probably 10 years, and that's still maybe 6 feet tall. And my little peach tree is doing wonderful, other than the bottom part where I think I'm still getting antelope. But it really liked that deep watering and fertilizing, and I have peaches. There's not a whole lot, but I'm thankful for them, and I'm going to keep the grasshoppers out this year. I am at war. So all the little peaches, and they're really good peaches. And my rose bushes are hanging in there. That's good. My grapevines really enjoyed the deep watering too, and just really greening up since I did that. And I have piles of cuttings and weeds that I still have to pick up and more pruning to do, but I kind of hid it in between other things. This year I wanted more flowers up near the porch, so I've got some geraniums. I found this little bay leaf tree. It's a sweet bay tree, and so I potted that because it won't survive our winters, so I can take it in during the winter. My miniature roses, I think that's an African daisy. More geranium, mini rose, and a marshmallow plant that I bought last year, and it hung in there, but it's just now starting to grow. Some little petunias and more geraniums. And I've added lavender and mint in that pot over on the end. Just trying to put more color up near the house, and green, because we just don't have a lot of green here, as you can see. Mostly things get brown. And I planted a larger lavender out in that bed that still needs to get cleaned, and I deep watered those trees and my elderberries up there, so things are coming along. So that's my update. I had been asked for an update. I gotta tell you, I love roses, but I also love miniature roses. My big roses, I usually go for the scent and the color, but miniature roses, I go for color. You usually don't get a strong scent. But these were little tiny plants I got at the grocery store, just like the ones up there in pots. And you put them in the ground, and even in the winter, they just survive. And that was a little bitty gift plant. And look at it, it's just covered with blooms, and they're beautiful. Look at all the buds on this about to open. It's just beautiful. So don't be afraid of those little miniature roses you find as gifts. Stick them in the ground. They even survive our winters. I don't mulch or do much of anything. I just mulch around the base, but they survive, and look at what they do. So that's my garden update. And hopefully we won't have a heavy freeze, but if we do, I'll be working to protect all this. But in the meantime, I've still got more seeds to plant. And I've got my deer netting up to keep the deer out, hopefully. Oh, and Mr. Danny, I've got overalls. So thank you for watching. God bless, and we'll talk soon.